my first training video. This is for my friend Flip. Flip, since I'm using my iPhone here, I'm going to show you how to back up an iPhone, an iPad, and also an Android device to a hard drive on your Mac or PC. First thing we do is basically I'm going to use the iPad Pro. We're going to pretend for a moment that this is an iPhone. The same process actually works for both. So what we want to do here is I'm running everything off of a Mac. When we're using the iPhone or the iPad and the OS that runs it, we're going to use iTunes. So we're going to open up iTunes here, and we're going to go ahead and we are going to go ahead and we're going to use our universal serial bus cord that is actually attached to our local PC or Mac, which is this little cord right here. The end of it, everybody knows, basically is going to be right here. So what we do is we plug our power cord and data cord into the universal serial bus, okay, in our PC or our Mac. So we're going to start with the Mac. Since I already have one of these little cords right here, I'm going to go ahead and plug this in like I am powering it up. Excuse me for a moment. I'm not using the iPhone to do this because I'm actually using the iPhone for the video. So what happens here, when we plug our iDevice in OS X 10, we're going to see a little icon that pops up. So we're going to go ahead and hit that icon. What happens is it's going to bring up our iPhone or iPad. I'm going to go ahead. We're going to see basically that we can do an automatic backup to the iCloud or whatever. Okay, so I'm going to choose here this computer. Now when I do this, I'm going to back up my audio, my video, my apps, all the other different documents and datas. When it comes to the iPhone, it's also going to back up my contacts, my messages, my phone calls, recent, current, anything that I've saved. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to hit apply. Now what it's doing now is it's actually syncing everything here, okay, and it's doing a full backup of iPad, which is stored on this computer. So using the iOS 10.2.1, which is the same iOS that is on the iPhone, it will go ahead and it will back up everything. So when it is done, now remember that we're looking at iPhones and iPads that go up all the way to 256 gig. There's a way around this. Since I have external hard drives, several of them as a matter of fact, what I do is I'm able to go ahead and preset the destination of the large data by going up into the preferences, and I go ahead I go into advanced and I change it. So what happens is there's an external hard drive here that I called the same as the original one, Macintosh HD. So what I usually do for this particular Mac is I have a mirrored image. This one's a little bit bigger because it's an external hard drive. And I had that preset by just going in and changing it and choosing the directory that I wanted to store my backups for my iPads and for my iPhone backups. Okay, so as you can see, it's going ahead and it's storing all of these particular, in this case, movies, videos, audio, apps. In the iPhone, would do that with your contacts, your phone numbers, your messages, your voicemail, all these particular things. Photos, so anything that has to deal or that's on the iPad. After we're done with this, we're just going to say done. If you go back to the iPad or the iPhone, and when we do a full backup, I can go and I could go restore from backup. Since I've never actually basically backed up this iPad Pro, this is just a mirror of my particular iPhone, except for a couple different things. I would go ahead and I could restore everything to the state of the date that I originally backed it up to. That takes care of utilizing the Mac. Let's go into Windows now. So I use a utility that I can run every single operating system that's out there on this one particular Mac. It's called Parallels, but nevertheless, I'm going to go to Windows 10 so that we can do the same process again. And basically, it's going to be the same process for Windows 10. I'm going to go ahead and launch iTunes from the icon. And again, it will be the same process. I'll have to update the latest thing, but nevertheless, iTunes is pretty self-evident. So the process goes for Windows 10, it goes for the Mac. Linux does not have an iTunes program, so you're pretty much stuck with having a backup that you can only do with iTunes, Apple's iTunes, with Windows or a Mac. Now, secondly, we're going to go, in this particular instance, with the Samsung Galaxy. Samsung Galaxy is going to be the same or a little bit different, but again, I'm going to utilize the USB, which is a little bit different. Basically, the dongle or accessory is a little bit different than the Apple equivalent. So the power cord and data cord, basically I'm going to plug in to the Mac or PC in one of its USB ports. Go ahead and do this. Now, in this particular instance, for the Samsung Galaxy or most Android phones, there's a utility called Smartswitch. So here's the Samsung. Go ahead and we plug this in. This will do the same thing as iTunes to enable me to back up and restore. As you can see, you have that plugged in there. We're going to launch a program that's downloadable on the internet called Smartswitch. Actually, let's go down. Launchpad. So let's go up here. Smartswitch. Okay, so here's Smartswitch. Utility you download off the internet. Smartswitch basically does the same thing as a full backup of your phone or Android device. First I have to do is I have to unlock my phone. And now it's asking me to allow my PC to access the data. So here we go. We have backup, restore, or synchronize. So in this particular, for the Samsung, it's giving me the Samsung and the model. Just hit backup. And we go ahead, and what it's doing is it's giving me permission. Ask me to give it permission again. So here it comes up the thing where it's allowing me permissions for my location, storage, calendar, camera, contacts, phone, microphone, SMS, which I have allowed. And now it will start the backup. Backup on a Samsung device, depending on how big it is, take pretty much a lot of time. Since I've done many backups, I'll just go ahead and I'll hit quit. To restore, confirm. To restore it, basically is hit restore. Okay. And it will go to my latest backup that I did. And I would hit restore now if I had lost the device, or I'm switching devices, and this goes for the iPhone as well. I would hit restore now, and it would take it back to the original device data that I had, the particular backup date and time that I did. That takes care of the Samsung. That takes care of the iPhone. This is a similar procedure for Windows, although this was done with a Mac. So hopefully, Flip, this helps you out, or anybody else that's having problems. If you're switching phones or upgrading phones, I suggest doing this. If you're switching carriers, again, this is a useful utility. However, if you're going from an iPhone to a Samsung, or a Samsung to an iPhone, there's a utility you have to go from phone to phone. I'll do a different video on that one.